Alright, hey everyone, welcome to my first demo video for Google Chrome productivity extension that I created called GetDistracted. Before I begin, I'd like to point out that the extension will also be available on the Chrome Web Store, and I'll attach links in the description to both the code and web store so you can easily install and try it out for yourself. Alright, so the motivation behind the project was to resolve how easily distracted I was during the school year, and unlike other website blockers, GetDistracted provides an alternative of solving math problems to unblock the blocked website. In the demo, I'll walk through the basic functionality of the extension, elaborate a bit on how everything's pieced together, and go over some areas of improvement that I thought of. I've definitely learned a lot through this project, which is the primary goal. For instance, using cookies to store data was quite interesting since growing up I knew what cookies did, but not how they worked. Another example was learning the use of promises actually, because particularly with the Chrome APIs, a lot of the callbacks are asynchronous, so discovering the existence of promises was literally a lifesaver. Now to start, let's go over the tech stack. What I used involved HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, while using jQuery for the most part. I also used several Chrome APIs such as the cookies and web request API, and I'll go over in a second the details of how each API was put to use. Now, so after you install the extension and first open it up, this is what it'll look like. You'll see two main tabs. The second one here is for inputting the website, choosing a math question difficulty level, and setting up a backup timer in case the question is too difficult. After that, the first tab will dynamically display all the blocked websites in their respective timers. So let's give it a shot. As you can see here, the form also detects the text whether you filled out the form or filled it out properly. And as you can see here, the website has not been inputted, so let's do that. Now I can testify that YouTube is a powerful distraction for many students, so let's block that up. The difficulty will be pre-selected to intermediate, but you're welcome to choose a different level. Basic math questions involve pre-calculus questions. Intermediates include single variable or first-year calculus questions, and advanced includes multivariable calculus, only because multivariable calculus is the highest level of math I've taken so far. I've probably forgotten most of it, so let's try advanced. And I'll just set a timer for 9 hours or something. But before I do that, I just like to demonstrate that the form does select or monitor which elements have not been filled out yet in order. But yeah, so 10 hours, focus, and that's the submit button. So after you submit, it will redirect you to the main tab, and as you can see, an HTML element pops up and holds the URL with a countdown of the timer. Initially, these rectangles were clickable. It probably feels like it's clickable when you hover over it, but I encountered some problems near their end, and it didn't work, so I decided to remove that functionality, at least for now. Yeah, but just don't click it, please. Anyway, so how this all works is when I submitted the form, all the form data is organized nicely into a JSON object, and with the cookies API, I'm able to store the object as a string into a unique cookie. On the main tab, which is here, I retrieve all the cookies and parse their respective data to dynamically display them as HTML elements. The time remaining is calculated from the time stored in the JSON object and the current time. Before I try to access YouTube, this is where the web request API comes in, as it provides listeners to the URL request, and if there's a match to the block site, then it will redirect to the block site page. I've also accounted for extended URLs following the same domain, such as this one. Oh, how convenient. How to get a job at the Big Four? Well, that's unfortunate, we can't watch it. Anyway, as you can see, when I try to access YouTube, youtube.com or any of its subdomains, it will not let me, as it will redirect me to this block site page. And you may have noticed that among the two attempts, the question is actually different, because every time you try to access YouTube with the block site, it will randomly select the question from the JSON file. So yeah, let's actually try to solve this question though. Let the point, blah blah. I'm just kidding. I have an answer key, so let's look at that. And here's my file, the questions.json file. I split it into 3 difficulty sets: basic, intermediate, and advanced. I only have 7 questions for each right now, but let me just quickly find the question and answer. It's asking for the equation standard form. I believe that's this one. And yeah, when you click submit, as you can see, it will redirect, and it will redirect you to YouTube or the block site. And if you try to access any other domain, I believe this is how to get a job at Big Four. Yeah, it'll also work as normal, which is great. Also to mention, if you check out the extension here, there is no longer that HTML element or the rectangle, if you remember, because that like when you access this tab, it technically gets all the cookies, and when you solve the question properly, it deletes the cookies, so the cookie is no longer there, and hence we don't have an HTML element here. Another thing I want to mention is that on the block site page, if you were still stuck on it for whatever reason, if the timer expires and like it counts down to 0, it will also automatically redirect you to the block site page, which is, I believe, what I wanted. But yeah, that actually wraps up most of the functionality. But before I go over some areas of improvement, I just want to raise a disclaimer that some of the UI design that you saw was open source code found freely available online, because I'm not the best at UI design, and I didn't want to spend too much time working on the design, but rather focusing on implementing the functionality instead. I've also included links to their respective sources in the comments of my code. Also, the icon for the extension, this lovely orange cone, was designed by my friend Jenny, and you can check out her design Instagram account in the link below as well. But moving on to areas of improvement, I know there's a lot of things I could work on, but I wanted to finish the project quickly so that I can start other projects. But let me just input an example before I talk about it. Let's try Facebook, intermediate, timer, set. Alright. And it's blocked. But yeah. So one thing I really need to work on is improving the answer recognition system so that it doesn't just strictly check for identical strings. Because right now, even if I input the correct answer, if I put a space and submit, it will recognize as an incorrect answer, which is unfortunate. But if I had more time, I would definitely solve that problem. Now another thing would be to get the rectangles that appear here, like these HTML elements, to be actually clickable, so that it will also redirect you to the block site page where you can try to solve the question. And definitely practicing better UI design would be helpful, because I'm going to be honest, some parts of the extension don't look that appealing, and that's just my fault because I'm not that great with design. But I mean, you do the best with what you have, right? Anyway, there's probably many more things I could do to improve and learn, but for the sake of keeping this short, I'd just like to thank you all for watching through the end, and if you have any questions or suggestions for future projects, feel free to leave a comment below or email me at this account. Otherwise, that concludes the video, and I hope you all have a great day.